the different things that will actually cause pain, that will cause fatigue, that will cause inflammation in the body. And, when it comes to something like fibromyalgia, why you have so many different types of pain, so many pains in different locations, and why some pains are burning, or some feel heavy, some feel dull, some feel sharp, some are worse with weather, some are worse with movement, some are better with movement, or maybe some are better with rest, or some are worse with rest. So I've been delving into all these factors and trying to provide some understanding of how this condition works and what all the factors are that need to be addressed in order to have long-term relief and from pain and from fatigue. So, for example, we've got some people that have been through all this, and 1, 2, 3 years later, they're still pain-free. They're still very, very happy. They still have their results. So why are those results lasting? It's because of this approach to address all of these factors and to address them in a very special order. And I'm going to get into that a bit further now. So let's look at what we've addressed so far. So I've talked about addressing pain and fatigue, inflammation from a variety of pathways. So I've talked about pathogens in the body, right? Literal bacteria, viruses, molds in the body that cause things like chronic fatigue. They cause pains, maybe pains that wander from place to place, or pains that come and go. Now, this oftentimes represents a reaction by the immune system. So a broad-based immune reaction that will cause pains that will move from place to place. And I've talked about extra fluid in our bodies, extra fluid that we carry via our lymphatic system that can basically leave us like a dirty swamp. Like we've collected all this extra waste material in the body, and it will give you this rotten feeling. It'll give you heavy pains. It'll make you feel heavy. It'll give you brain fog. It might even give you skin conditions. We've talked about gut problems like gut dysbiosis, so literal problems with the bacteria in the gut, and how this can cause broad-based pain and inflammation, how this can also influence this waste material in the body. It can cause terrible fatigue. It can cause things like terrible irritable bowel syndrome issues, or might even cause things like autoimmune disease of the gut, like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Now, we've talked about stress and cortisol levels, and how this can lead to increases in pain, lead to increases in inflammation, fatigue. It can worsen sleep and cause this sort of downward spiral of poor sleep, increases in pain, and increases in fatigue. And it just seems to make itself worse and worse over time. Now, I've talked about these things, and I've done so in a very specific order and for very good reason. Now, addressing all of these factors appropriately and in a specific order is of the utmost importance because of the next factor that I'm going to discuss. Now, this factor is extremely important. Now, this factor is directly influenced by all the previous factors that I've talked about, and by some other things that I'm going to get into later on. So stress can influence it, your digestive health can influence it, your immune system can influence it, the pathogens you carry can influence it. This next factor is such a big topic that it is virtually talked about widespread through the entire health world, right? And the unfortunate piece is that all these factors that contribute it, some of which I've already covered, are often ignored, completely ignored, which means that any new and fancy approaches to addressing this are still providing just a Band-Aid treatment, because we have to get to the root cause of these things. These approaches are never going to fully fix the issue because they're only covering the one thing. They're only looking at this one issue. Now, have you guessed what this issue is? Are you ready to find out? This issue is your circulation. Basically, the literal blood flow going through your body. This is your body's delivery of oxygen, of nutrients, and one of the ways that the body eliminates waste material from the body. And now it's an incredibly important topic for all the reasons I just mentioned. And I'm going to spend the next several days putting together videos on this topic and explaining where the issues are, what are contributing to these issues, why we have such problems with circulation and blood flow in the body, why so many people are getting things like varicose veins, why they have poor blood flow to the brain. It's another contributing factor to brain fog. So stay tuned with us this week. This is something I'm going to get into much, much more in depth, and why it's such an important one. It's also one of the reasons why you have these very sharp stabbing pains, or pains that are worse in the morning. So I'll get into that further tomorrow morning. In the meantime, have a great day. If you need to check out something further now, or you're ready to move forward right now, please check out our webinar. Our webinar is found at fibrosolution.com/webinar, and we start to break into this specific topic quite a bit more then, okay?
If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you'd like to see as our next topic in the comments section, and hit the subscribe button. We'll make sure you're the first to get notified of our new health and fibromyalgia videos. We'll see you soon, Health Warrior.